Hello and welcome back, Rebel fans. It's been a long time. I'm your host, Superfed TV, joined by Rumblebee. Rumblebee, how you doing?
Pretty good. How are you, Fed?
I've had better games and weeks, but we're back and we're gonna get everybody caught up going into the playoffs. So I am excited about the playoffs at least. Let's go ahead and kick things off with our Division 3 intro. All right, and we are covering weeks 10 and 11. We slacked. Most of it was Rumblebee, but we slacked.
Hey, if a man can't fall asleep on the couch in his own house, where can he fall asleep?
I mean, that covers one of the many days. I believe tender was a factor in a couple of the other, but what is it? It is what it is. Plus, we will get to Div 1, and I will tell you why I wasn't really pushing so hard for it. But let's see. Week 10 in Division 3. That was a bye for Sukari. Pro in a Party had their way with fell with Kotadal in the Pro Elf versus High Elf match here. Taking a look at this one. Soul complained a bit about his snakes when he played Hipster, and he got his makeup game here where Not for Science was rolling snakes left, right, and center. A whopping 7 passes for Pro in a Party, 4 for the High Elves, an 11 pass game. You don't see that every day. Injuries thrown left and right. I believe this was the game where Belwith Kotadal's star thrower with strong arm, accurate, dodge, sure hands. Got a armor bust, but he also got to 76 SPP and got blodge, so good development there, unfortunately at a cost. A little bit squishier going forward, but AV7's really not that bad, especially on a thrower that is that good, so I expect to see him for a while. Looking at the SPP in this game, though, Soul got 9, 13, 16, 17, 18, 19.
Wow.
Plus another 5's 24, plus another 9 would be 33 SPP in a game. I think that it's possible that Soul did not whine at all after that match. I'd have to check the logs, but I'm pretty sure he ended that one without any whining. So
No, I refuse to believe it. He found something to whine about.
we're gonna have to go back and check. Check the tapes. And even losing, you still walk away with 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 18, 23 SPP. So, I mean, this is the kind of elf off that everybody else in the league just hates. And it wasn't even a spin game where they just agreed to score touchdowns on each other. Pantheon Passers took the 2-1 win over the Necromantic Newbies. This keeps himself above 500, I want to say. Looking at the blocks here, 27-44. Lots of KOs, 7 KOs, only 1 injury. Unfortunately for Yoichi Haruma, he was just not able to keep the elves down and out. Tribu Urbana got the win 2-1 over TeamSpeak Crew version 4. And this one I did watch, but to be honest, it was so long ago. TeamSpeak Crew did not get a ton of blocks, only 33 blocks, getting 4 KOs and 2 injuries. That's not great considering that there were multiple touchdowns there for the Pro Elves. They, probably weren't passing the elves very well with their blocks and pushing them to get more blocks, would be my guess. And I know there was some turnover shenanigans as well, and a really good wizard, I want to say, from Tribe Urbana. Was it TeamSpeak that had it? I can't recall. Revenge of the Franks got a 1-1 draw against Lebowski Urban Achievers, and so this is what I had been talking about in previous weeks, that the Franks had not really played any of the bashy teams, and going into some of the bashier matchups, they were going to have some work cut out for them. And Lebowski Urban Achievers, while on the bottom half of the division, were able to take down one of the big names by getting this draw here, even with getting fewer blocks, only 44 blocks versus the 55 of the Orcs. It wasn't by removals, it was just sheer willpower that allowed Sherdog and his Urban Achievers to get the draw. The big win, Tooth and Fist, 3-0 over Cenobite the Curb. Drunkernaut, fortunately, just not having the greatest season so far, but he will no doubt be enjoying the bash fest that is Division 4 next season. So, depending on, of course, re-rolls and shakeups and things like that, but looks like he's headed for good relegation, and I think he'll have a much easier time against some of the slower moving targets compared to all the elves in this division. And Scooby and the gang got a 1-1 draw against Murderers Row. An equal number of armor breaks, 42 versus 52 on the blocks, but your standard Necro on Necro slapfest. Which you know all about, Rumble.
Yeah, I do.
Moving on to week 11. We had a draw between Your Lizard Airy and Pro in a Party. This one, Sukari kind of snuck out with the draw here. I would say that early on, it was pretty much all Souls game. Some slip-ups with the ball from the Lizards. And they, were playing a little fast and loose, and Soul was able to capitalize on it and got the early 2-0 lead. Unfortunately, the scatters and, I want to say, an inopportune snake caused a turnover there for the Lizards to come back into it and run the ball far, far, far down the pitch. In fact, if I recall, actually, it was a lot of diving tackle going one way. You would think the Agility 3 would be weaker against the diving tackle, but no, you can just roll 5s. And then the other side of the coin, diving tackle on the skinks, or skink diving tackle onto the elves, you would think, oh, 4+, no problem. Yeah, that was a problem, so got to watch out for that kind of stuff. But it was a good game. Good back and forth, ends up in a draw. This does have playoff implications, but we'll get all to the playoffs here in a second when we look at the leaderboard. Midsummer, that's a bye week for Pantheon Passers. Fell with Codadol, got the 3-3 draw against Hipster. But while he wasn't able to out-elf either Soul or Hipster, this draw here kind of has potentially, since he was the number 1 team, Hipster, playoff implications. This one, though, is where you see the High Elves just bashing the Pro Elves. 3 injuries to none on 39 blocks. So they're just bullying with that AV8. And a lot fewer passes this time. Only 1 pass for Hipster, 3 passes for the Codadol. That was the SPP. Yeah, another buttload of SPP. 14.
It's not 33, but
yeah, it's still in the 20s for probably both teams. So
22.
Yeah, that's pretty
not fair.
Solid. Yeah, not everybody gets that kind of development, but then they also take more deaths to offset it. So, Necromantic Newbies lost 0-1 against Revenge of the Franks. So the werewolves seem to be unable to stop the orcs in the way that Chaos was. Big numbers on the armor break side for Revenge of the Franks. Look at this, 35 blocks to 38, so only 3 blocks different, but 12 more armor breaks for the orcs. They brought their weighted gloves and were rewarded with 6 injuries and 1 kill. That's one way to get some SPP. TeamSpeak Crew version 4 got the 2-2 draw against Tooth and Fist. I do recall seeing this match. Replay is actually still available, but I could not tell you how it went. I'm gonna have to watch it again, I think. The interesting 2-2 result for the Chaos Dwarfs. Lebowski Urban Achievers got the 0-3 loss to Scooby and the gang. This is kind of a big blowout and a little bit unexpected. This also resulted in the death of the killer Chaos Warrior, the only one that had tackle on the tackle, claw, and mighty blow. So the elf killer is gone for Sherdog. And I'm trying to think of anything else that was significant in this one. And a new injury on Jesus, was it? Jesus is no more? Ooh. What happened to Jesus?
He took a move bust.
I need to look at this. How could Jesus ever be fired? Oh no. Oh no, Sherdog. Tell us that Jesus will live again. Oh, I can't believe Jesus got fired. Wow, so he lost 2 Chaos Warriors that game. And both of them were very high level. Wow. There's not much left here.
Jesus.
I'm curious if Sherdog's gonna reroll. Like, you're at 1300 Chaos after 4 seasons? Yeesh. That's rough. Anyway, getting back to the... Wow. Getting back to the results. The last one, Sent by the Curb, 0-2 loss to Murderer's Row. The Necro do really well against these Chaos teams. Not so good against the Elf teams and the Orcs, but nice result there for Doc. So week 12, there are about half the games played. The reason why I'm actually peeking at this ahead is because we are going to talk about the leaderboard and the playoff implications here. So let's move that over there. Currently, right now, we've got 4 teams that are competing for 3 spots. Prior to yesterday, TeamSpeak Crew version 4 with Puckstop was in the hunt at 21 points. Unfortunately, there was just some real shenanigans against the High Elves. A Bull Centaur scold himself, dub scold, rerolled, push, frenzy, and do another skull. And gave himself a death, which was appoed into a move bust. And then the rest of the Chaos Dwarves, so terrorized by those elves, continued to also get cased and knocked out. But unfortunately, there was some internet connection issues, and that kind of forced the concede from Puckstop. So he is going to be now out of the playoff hunt, which then eliminates us down to just the final 4, which is going to be Soul of Dragonfire, Sukari, Regnan, and Hipster. The real battle is going to be between, really, at this point, Regnan, Sukari, and Soul of Dragonfire to make sure that they clinch. And potentially Hipster could lose the top spot. He's only 1 point ahead of Regnan. So the Franks could steal that seed if they want it. Games played. So really, Hipster and the Franks are locked in with 12 games played at 26 and 25 points. Both Sukari and Soul of Dragonfire have 1 game left to play this week. And I want to say one of those is a bye week, isn't it? Nope, not that one.
No, the bye week is
No.
going to Sherdog.
Okay, so both Sukari and Soul could win here, and they would be at 26 and 25 points. So basically, there'd be 1 point separating first and second and third and fourth. Really, it's anybody's to lose. Even a tie next week is going to be basically something that could stop them from making the playoffs. Or it's going to go down to TD differential and all the other wonderful tiebreakers that we love to talk about ad nauseum. Swear to God, if it goes head to head, hit you. Let's see. Who's going to be the most likely? Who do you think? Who do you like? Who do you think's not going to make the cut of those 4?
You're a lizard, Airy.
Sukari. He's been playing
Yeah, I
fast
think
and
Sukari.
loose.
Yeah.
Especially against elves, but his last week is against Revenge of the Franks. So that is potentially, I mean, if he wins this week, and I would say he's favored to win against Necronomic Newbies, that would put him actually 1 point ahead of the Orc team. But the Orc team, and I can say this from experience, Orc teams in general have a good time playing against lizards, unless the lizards get early numbers. But yeah, it's hard for lizards to keep numbers on orcs because they have skinks, and skinks are what orc blitzers love to hit all day long.
Yeah.
So I think that's a safe bet. I will call Soul only because he's currently got 2 games left. Cenobite the Curb is in last place, so that should be a win. But he's got, who does he got last week? Murder's Row, Doc. He was the strongest of the Necro coaches, and I think he's going to be the biggest challenge in this week here. And I could see if he gets the win and then he gets a draw. If those 2 guys get draws, yeah, he would be 25, 26. Yeah, so what I'm saying is if Sukari and Regnan draw and Soul wins and then loses in week 13, he would be eliminated, just 1 point short. I think that is going to be the scenario that I go with. And then Hipster takes first. Well, who's Hipster play? He could technically also still drop out due to tiebreakers. He plays Tooth and Fist. Yeah, I'd give him at least a tie on that. Yeah, my predictions are Hipster takes first. It would be Sukari takes second with the draw, and then Regnan third and Soul fourth. That way, you know, when Soul whines about it later, I can say that I wasn't caster cursing him. At least
that's a lot of guard on that lizard team.
Yeah, he's got the guard lizards that Arch was clamoring for. We're so used to seeing all these bash lizards. All right, well, I think that's going to do it for the Div 3 stuff. I feel like we've looked at every single team. If I did not look at your team throughout the season, though, and you want me to, and you want me to do it in the last week episode, let me know. I'll do that next week when we have one. I am going to definitely try to do something this weekend. And for those of you that don't know in Div 3, or, well, just all divs, I guess I'll say it, there will be a special event that you'll want to tune in for this weekend. I want to say for us REL folks, it's going to be Saturday afternoon, around noon-ish. You'll want to check that out. It'll be a special little thing that's going to entail all the different divs, and it's related to the playoffs. So all I can tell you at this time. Yeah, anything else you want to add for Div 3, REBBL?
Nah, not really.
All right, we'll go ahead and move on.
Let's move on.
Div 2, coming at you. Div 2 starting week 10 off. We have the Oil Miners get a 2-1 win over non-anime sports team And this will go down as probably the game that broke Arch XL's team. I'm sure he'll still keep it because he's stubborn, but 8 injuries inflicted, and let's just say they weren't badly hurt. Yeah. Although when you give up 57 blocks against dwarves, I can feel somewhat less sympathetic towards you. 8 KOs, 8 KAs out of 57 blocks. That can happen. But there was a lot of, first action failures that led to that, I'm sure. Either way, it sucked to be Arch. 1 armor break out of 23 blocks against those dwarves. Those dwarves were not going anywhere. And yeah, that's a brutal one. Moving on, Cheese Tactics got a draw against Ace Trucking Company. Quicks was not so quick against the Cheese Tactic. 50 blocks to 42. He out-removed Cheese, and he also got a kill on him. But look at this, the thrower is getting levels. The movement up and block now, so don't look twice. Cheese might actually win a couple more games before this goes and sneak his way out of relegation. Maybe. Doubt it. We'll see. Not FDA approved. A loss to Iron Madden. Unfortunately, ATL's High Elves were not able to keep up with these Khemri. They are just too strong. Too strong. There was a death suffered by not FDA approved, but it was not the one that everybody was looking for. Super Dragon is still alive and kicking, even though he's actually throwing red dice at Khemri. So, that's hard. Hard. Leafy Mustard got the 2-1 win over the Communist Frat Party. Nocturnal really not having the best time here. I think he will have a much more fun time next season, beating on some werewolves and pro elves in Div 3. Berzoot comes out with the win, though, with 3 injuries inflicted. Ooze Cruise got the 2-0 win over the Lords of Decay. Khaleesi Maya's rats of assorted flavors and colors and stat-ups just weren't quite able to do the trick. And notice, the more blocks Khaleesi throws, the worse his results are. He actually got 20 blocks this game. Inflicted an injury, but gave up almost 60 blocks to the dwarves. And unlike Arch XL, only suffered 3 injuries and a kill. So, kinder dice in that occasion. Khaleesi Kevlar is what we've been calling it lately. Your AV7 that just does not break. Trikundo.
So many rats.
So many rats.
And he's still got a full bank. I'm sorry.
He doesn't die. He just doesn't die.
It's infuriating.
Trikundo with the 3-3 draw against Straight Up Flatulence. Stubings hanging on to his playoff hopes and dreams. Unfortunately, just not quite able to keep the ball away from the elves. Dwark sneaking his way in, and I actually saw this one as well. Good wizard use. I would say perfect timing. So often you see people blow the wizard early or do a pointless attrition fireball. But Zork knows the beauty and essentially, necessary part of using a wizard as a lightning bolt to get the ball to scatter, but also to use it as a threat. So if you do it, later in a drive when the score is a bit more imminent, it changes the whole pace of the game, and that really did that here against Stupings. Finally, we had Men in Tights versus Please Don't Murder Me in a elf-off that probably took longer than we want to talk about. But it did result in a 2-2 draw with 36 blocks even on both sides. 2 KOs on one side, 1 for the other, 1 Kaz apiece. Pretty gentle ginger game with decent SPP gains on both sides. 5 total passes. Moving on to week 11, Straight Up Flatulence got the 1-1 draw against Oil Miners. And again, Stubings just tying his way towards the playoffs. That's my way of doing it. I doubt he'll have as many ties as I did when I qualified, but We'll see. He may be close. Oil miners, though, are a good one to tie against because, frankly, they're just hard to stop from scoring. 18 armor breaks for him off 50 blocks. 51 for Stubings. He actually got the worst end of that, even though he had Claw. Only getting 11 armor breaks, so sucks to be him. But look at that. Great brown cloud. Did he make Legend? He has not made Legend yet. He is 5 SPP away from Legend. So that's going to be one of the fastest characters to get Legend in all of REBBL. I think this is, what, his 3rd season with the team? That's pretty impressive, honestly. I'll have to check the stats on that to make sure that that's true. But
43 matches.
Yeah, 43 matches. So basically, if he gets it next game, that would be 44 matches to Legend. Pretty sure that's going to be one of the fastest times.
Yeah. Rod got it in his 3rd season, halfway through.
I have to check the stats on that one.
Well, you can't because Rod's dead.
Yeah. You can still check in Blood Bowl 2 League Manager, I think. Anyway, where was I? That was the first one. Please Don't Murder Me got the 5-3 win over Khaleesi Maya. Speaking of games that go too long, that one 26 blocks, no 28 blocks for Khaleesi Maya. 35 blocks for Luke Sama. And yeah, that was a real shootout there. And actually 9 passes as well. What's the SPP look like for Luke Sama? 5, 7, 8, 11, 14, 22, 28, 29. And on the other side, Lords of Decay pulling out 20. Just a casual 49 SPP game, as you usually see. Men in Tights got the 2-1 win over Communist Frat Party. Pretty standard stuff here. Elves getting beat up on a little bit, but still punching back, actually. You know what? I say that, not so much standard stuff. That's a lot of blocks for Wood Elves. 38 blocks, out-blocking the humans. My guess is his guard positioning was a bit of a factor there. And Men in Tights know how to play against the Bash game for sure. Trikundo got the 1-2 loss to Iron Madden. Again, Elves just not being able to stop this Khemri force, giving up 30 armor breaks on 33 blocks. We know he likes to foul. We know he likes to pile on, but good God. 30 armor breaks and 33 blocks. 2 kills, 2 Kaz, 8 KOs. And actually 3 Kaz from fouls. So, a lot of KOs, but thanks. Booze Crew's got the 1-0 win against Ace Trucking Company, and that is probably going to keep Quicks out of the... Yeah, he's actually been out for... But Booze Crews, that actually helps them in their campaign to take the first seed away from Gengar. Leafy Mustard is at 2-1 win over non-anime sports team. And Arch beat up on from those dwarves the week prior. Not quite able to field a half of a team. And Grizoot was able to kind of muscle the loner elves. So that happened. And finally, not an FDA approved, took on Cheese Tactics. And Cheese was able to just kind of obliterate this team. With only 27 blocks, they got 14 removals. 7 Kaz, 1 kill, 6 KOs. Yeah. That's even worse than the Gengar one. 23 armor breaks on 27 blocks. And of those 23 armor breaks, 8 Kaz or kills. That's not counting 2 casualties that were either self-inflicted or fouls. So really, that is 10 Kazes, essentially, if you count the death as a Kaz. That's ridiculous.
Yeah, it looks like one of those was an armor bust on his ball hawk. That's
well, that sucks for ATL. The moral of the story, though, for the Div 2 High Elves is Go big, like Luke Sama, or go home and re-roll. I don't know. I would be surprised to see both ATL and Arch playing on their high elves next season. But they're stubborn. They might.
Yeah, I don't think Arch is gonna reroll.
Like I said,
He's
stubborn.
He's got his thrower. That's all he needs, right?
Which one? Is this number 15 or number 16? I've lost track. God. Week 12, just a quick peek at the results here. They have played all but 2 games because we're slow and it's Rumblebee's fault. So if we look over at the leaderboard, here's where we stand as of right now. Again, there are 3 playoff spots. So currently, Booze Cruise and Iron Madden, so Motley and Gengar, are tied at 24 points, and they both played 12 games. So first seed will be at 27 points. Now, if they both win, it'll go to tiebreakers, which currently the touchdown differential would go to Booze Cruise, surprising no one. He's at a TD differential of 8 versus Gengar's 3. So the only way that Gengar gets the first seed is if the Booze Cruise draws or loses week 13. Assuming that basically both those guys are now locked for the playoffs here, and that pretty much is true. Yes, that is true. Both of them are locked. Now we've got up next competing for the 3rd seed. Straight Up Flatulence is currently at 21 points. Oil Miners are at 18 points. High Elves, not an anime sports team, are at 17 points, which would mean that they are out because they have played 12 games. Men in Tights have only played 11 games. They are also at 17 points. So they could technically win 2 games and pass Stubbings if he loses. And if Pig Sofa also loses, that would go to, Men in Tights. Leafy Mustard's out. Quix is out. Trikundo, he's got 11 games. He's at 15 points. If he wins both his games, he would be at 21 points. Technically, if all the stars aligned in the world, could he do it? Who does he play? Not FDA approved. Men in Tights. Yes, he could do it. So if he beats Men in Tights, he would jump up to 18 points. And then if he beats not FDA approved, he would jump up to 21 points. Straight Up Flatulence is playing Ace Trucking Company. If they lose, they stay at 21 points. If, what was the other one that's in competition? Pig Sofa is playing Communist Frat Party. They could also lose, and they would be stuck at 18 points. That would be down to a tiebreaker at 21 points. TD differential for Stubbings is at 4. And Zwark is at 1. So if he wins this week and next week with a touchdown differential of, well, actually, if he just wins those, because the Stubbings would have to lose. Yeah. He just has to win 1 game by 2 points, and he would clinch the spot from 9th place all the way up to 3rd place. That's impressive. But that would be all of the possible playoff scenarios. So there you go, Div 2. I did your work for you. You now no longer have to think about anything at all. I hope that was followable. Felt like I was rambling there. So who do you think is going to do it now that you know all of the possible permeations? 1st through 3rd, Rumblebee go.
I'm going to leave it as is. Motley, Gengar, Stubbings.
Yeah, I can see that. I like Stubbings, but a part of me is like, you know what? If he misses the playoffs because of that Gengar game, that would be poetic. Because he had it. But I also understand not letting one mistake haunt you for your entire season. So, yeah, I wouldn't hate it if he went. Pig Sofa is just so close to the cusp, and I actually think Pig Sofa is going to do just fine against the Communist Frat Party. So I think he's going to be able to eliminate Zwark. Actually, no, Zwark could also get there too. It's just going to be, well, no. Slightly bent, I would actually like to see go. It's the 3rd seed. It'll be a long stretch, but I would like to see him go. I just also don't think Stubbings is going to lose to... Well, he could lose to Quicks. Gengar's definitely 2nd seed. Motley's definitely 1st seed. I think those 2 things are going to happen just because of the TD differential, if it was to be a tie result. Who does Boosters play? Leafy Mustard. So Gurzoot would have to pull up an upset if he wanted to send Gengar as the 1st seed. I'm trying to make a case for it to not be Stubbings, but honestly, unless it's slightly bent, I don't see it happening. And actually, he's slightly bent. Yeah, he could do it. So if Stubbings ties week 13 and slightly bent beats Zork this week and beats Cheese on the last week, which I think we all would agree is possible, then yeah, that would go ahead and send him. Perfect. Cheese, I know we're all really anxiously awaiting the relegation discussion. Cheese is capable of fighting his way out of relegation if he wanted to relegate Kalisti and Luke Sama in addition to ATL and Nocturnal. So it's a close battle there at 13 points. See who will fall below the bottom 4. Any other thoughts on Div 2 Rumblebee?
Cheese gonna have to take a loss for one of those games, isn't he? Out of town.
Oh, that's a good reminder. I didn't think about that. That will likely mean that the Men in Tights are guaranteed that win. So yeah, it's gonna be all in Stubbings' court. I'm glad you brought that up. So yeah, if that's a guaranteed win for Men in Tights this week, so that would mean that if he beats Wark, he will be at 23 points, putting him 2 points above of where Stubbings is at right now. So a tie against Quicks would eliminate Stubbings. And that would also mean the Oil Miners cannot catch up. So it doesn't eliminate Zork. If Zork beats slightly bent, Zork could still pass those guys, but yeah, that's interesting. Cheese vacancy also probably seals it for him then for the relegation, unless both Luke Sama and Kalisti also lose out. Cool. All right, well, let's go ahead and move on over to Division 1. You'll hear the tone change. I don't feel excited about this, but we'll work our way through it. Skinky Island Boys took the win 1-0 against Animal Farm. Sace was not quite able to do anything more than a movement bust onto a source, and well, that's just not enough. He outblocked the Lizards 48-34, but nothing really was sticking there. And the Skinks are just too darn mobile.
You're in the wrong week.
I am in the wrong week.
To...
Thank you for letting me know that. That was week 11.
Yeah.
Reverse that. We're back into week 10. Rats off to you. Lost 0-2 against the Skinky Island Boys. Skinky Island Boys with their freaking double movement up Skink, who also got the MVP, Trent, put a womp onto Bogothan. 36 blocks, 9 KOs, 3 injuries. only giving up 18 blocks. They completely manhandled Golgothan. And I believe the Wizard was a failure as well. So, yeah, that's not a fun game for the Rats. Animal Farm got the 2-2 draw against the Pastry Pests. That was one of the better results for Sace, getting that draw against Lumi. 32 blocks resulted in 6 KOs, 5 injuries, versus the 16 blocks and 1 injury. So just not a strong week for the Rats in those 2 games. Necronomics took the 2-1 win against the 3 Mountains. This one was closer than I expected it to be. 3 Mountains got a ton of blocks. 59 successful blocks, 47 for Necronomics. I think it could have been a draw very easily. Had a couple things been played a little bit differently. But either way, Necronomics did come away with the win there. Steve got a 1-1 draw against Tadpoles in the big city. And this draw actually is kind of what pulled Steve really out of things. Since it was Div 1 has 5 spots, and so kind of pulled Steve out of it when they stopped getting the wins. Eat Man Things got a 4-2 win over Brazzers, and that's all I have to say about that. Howl at the Moon got a
No. We can't just gloss over that, man. We got to look at it.
Jesus Christ. That fucking...
You have people that rely on you to give these results.
Yeah, I have gray hair from that game. First of all, he snaked turn 2, and I was like, yeah, feels good. And I got some Kaz, and I'm like, oh yeah, Skaven, they got the ball to start. They snaked. I shut down their path with diving tackle. Everything was looking gravy. I think I had like 3 removals in turn 2. And then he just, picked up the ball and scored on some 4+, 5+ bullshit. And kicks it super short. I set up for the blitz. I have all my guys on the line as spread out as you can possibly be. Well, it really doesn't matter when they get a blitz and they kick it into the very front right corner of the pitch. You literally cannot put someone there because they're just going to get surfed. So fine, I didn't put anyone there. That's where the ball goes. Yes, he did get a blitz. Yes, he did knock my guy over. Yes, he did catch the ball. And now there was literally nothing I could do to stop the second score. So now it's 2-0, and it's turn 4, and he kicks it deep. And I have my guy go back, and I start positioning stuff up. All right, I got to score quick just to try and make it 2-1 here. Try and even things out. And lightning bolt. Ball drops on the ground. Got another gutter. Now he moves his one-turner up to go scoop up the ball. I get a blitz onto his natural one-turner. Oh god, yes, I'm going to take that. Push skull. Push skull. Well, he 2+ leaps. Goes and picks up the ball with all the GFIs in the world. We're now down 3-0. And it's still the first half. Yeah. You need me to keep going, Rumblebee?
I mean, I don't need you to keep going. I want you to keep going.
I am removing rats like a freaking exterminator. On 49 blocks. Because he scored. Every time he scores, I get another 3 blocks. He doesn't have any line rats left. He's putting gutters on the line of scrimmage, Rumblebee. And he scores again. 8 injuries
I
inflicted.
played him too, man.
2 kills. That's 10 removals from the game that are not coming back. Doesn't matter. Ugh. Finally, at the very end of the game, I do find justice when I set up a frenzy surf onto his one-turner. What do you do when you get a chance to surf a one-turner, Rumblebee?
You always take it.
Always. I gave him an Agibus, so his now Agi 5 leap one-turner is Agi 4. You're welcome. Div 1. that game.
NBA is not playing next season.
I know. It was the most futile thing ever, but I was the only real perm that mattered. The kills, of course, were just on stupid line rats, but this game was weeks ago. This game is what kicked off the worst month of Blood Bowl I think I've had since I played this game for the last year. This month sucked. And it's all started with this game. Cursed me. Anyway, and it's hard, like, I'm complaining about how bad this was. I got 10 freaking perms, or not perms, but Kaz. It's like, that's good results. There's nothing I can do against those stupid rats.
Yeah.
Enough about that. Howl at the Moon. You lost 0-2 to Ornan and his New Year Norse. Tell us how you failed.
Ornan, he's just so aggressive. And I knew he was aggressive, but then when I played him, he was just too aggressive, and I was on my feet the entire time. Like, I just couldn't get anything going. And I made a misplay on turn 8, which allowed him to score. And then for my drive, he got a perfect defense, which just allowed him to plaster up the ball before I could do anything about it. It's so much extra strength. It was very frustrating. Not as frustrating as going down 4-0 in the first half against some rats, but frustrating.
Yeah, I can see that. We'll talk more about Ornan later. Gloom and Zoom got the 2-0 win over Duberman and Live Tree or Die Hard, and keeping Fiction in that hunt. Week 11, Skink Island Boys. We talked about Animal Farm. Nothing you can do against the Skinks. Didn't get a ton of removals. Didn't really do too much damage. Rats Off to You got the 2-2 draw against Necronomics, and this was the glimmer of hope that I had been waiting for. The Horny Cricket team. But see, the thing is, this could have also very, very strongly been a win for Golgothan. And just in the last couple turns, it slipped through his fingers, and the Necronomics were able to come away with the draw. And if it had been a loss, that would have been a much better result for me. Pastry Pest 3-1 win over Steve. And this is what's keeping Lumi in the hunt. So while Steve drops out of being in the playoff picture, this one puts Lumi back into it over his corpse. Three Mountains got the 2-2 draw against Eat Eat Man Things. MPA, able to do all kinds of wonders against my team. But against the 49 block, 31 armor break dwarves of relegation territory, just a 2-2 draw. Not quite the same results for those rats. And they were missing their natural one-turner, so that could have been a factor there. Tadpoles in the Big City got the 2-0 win against Howl at the Moon in the battle of, we'll just call this one the bum fight between 130 and Rumblebee. How did you lose the bum fight, Rumblebee?
I really don't remember.
Yeah? No recollection of 10 removals on 39 blocks? Lots of KOs? No? Nothing?
Oh yeah, he did. He messed me up.
Yeah. Fair enough. We'll move on. My game, I played Fiction, and actually beat him. So this is the one highlight of the month. Fiction kind of ran face first into my orcs and just bodied me up turn 1. And that's the one thing that I can play against really, really well, no matter how bad my dice are. And so, yeah, he gave me 64 blocks. That was definitely the most I've had all season. That gave me numbers as soon as I had a couple KOs and wolves off the pitch. It was just, snowballing from there. 5 Kaz eventually. The Kaz did not come early. They came late. And when they did come, a couple of them stuck. But by the second half, and we were very close on TV, so that we're talking like no inducements on either side. Oh, actually, that's the fun fact here. I planned on selling my 13th player in order to have just a little bit of edge bench so I could scum something stupid. And he had 3 zombies extra. I think he was at 14 players. He saw that I fired mine. He fired 2 of his. And then he did the math again and saw I still had the edge. So he fired another one. And he came into this game with no bench. So when I had those 4 KOs, it was a big deal. And that's why it was so much easier for me to kind of bully him as well. Not that, extra zombies are going to make that big of a difference. And that was kind of his point. And he wanted to be a part of this cast. We just couldn't make the scheduling work. But, yeah, he bet the farm to make sure that I didn't get my inducements. And I don't think it worked out very well for him.
I remember what happened in my game now.
Do you? Was it
Yeah,
noteworthy?
Cheney rolled 4 dub skulls and failed every single one of his loner rolls.
Well, you bet on Cheney, and Cheney can't deliver every game.
Yeah, it was sad.
Yeah. Week 12 is all but finished. And suffice to say, I did not beat the Necronomics. Pastry Pest dunked on Skinky Island Boys. And the only other playoff one so far was Gloom and Zoom in your game that just happened shortly ago. And New Year Norse lost to Steve, which is actually also important. So here's where we're at with the playoff picture. Necronomics have clinched first place. No matter what happens next week in the match against number 1 and number 2, Necronomics will be number 1 seed. Skink Island Boys could lose. They're at 24 points. But I just don't see a scenario where they don't make the playoffs. So we're going to go ahead and call it number 2. Even if they draw, I think that would secure them a spot. I am at 22 points. Actually, Fiction caught that up too. So yeah, so Fiction's also at 22. So me and Fiction are both tied here. 22 points a pop. He has the tiebreaker over me because his touchdown differential is just bloated. I don't know who gave him all those touchdowns, but I don't appreciate it. But 22 points does not save us in the top 5. You're saying 5 slots and you're not safe with 22 points? Yeah, I know. It's stupid. Lumi has been on a resurgence and is currently at 20 points, having played all his games. The only question marks still out there are NPA and Ornan at 6th and 7th place. Yayo, he's out. He's at 16. We don't have to worry about him. Ornan plays me in the very last week. If I lose, he and I would be tied at 22 points, and it would come down to tiebreakers. Currently, because he lost 2-0 to Yale, he's at -1 for a TD differential. So if he beats me by 1 point, I will be ahead of him, just barely. NPA, on the other hand, is at 6-1-4. And he, let's see, where is he at? He's also at 19 points, so he would pass me, and he's got the tiebreaker on me, both in TD differential if he wins his last 2 games. Oh, he doesn't even have to win both games. If he wins 1 game, he will be tied with me in Fiction at points, and he has to play Duberman still. So he could also be at 22 points. That was the one I was missing. From taking over Lumi's spot. His Fiction already won that one. That would bump all of them up. And Lumi would be at 6th place at that point. Lumi has the tiebreaker over me in every possible way. TD differential, because Wave just gave up and gave him 4 touchdowns. And he beat me in the head-to-head. So no matter how many points comes to, he's got that over me. Basically what I'm saying is, if I lose to Ornan, that makes way for NPA and Lumi to take my spots, while Fiction probably goes on no matter what, because even if I'm tied with Fiction at the end, he goes before I do. I think there's still a way for Ornan to make it, but as I look at the TD differential, yeah, basically for Ornan to make it, NPA would have to lose and Lumi would have to lose. But there's no way for Ornan and I both to make it. Either way, it's really convoluted, and the only match that matters next week is mine. That's what I'm saying. I mean, technically, there's a way for other people to lose, and I still make it, but I just think it's so unlikely. Because if we look at the matches, Rumblebee, you're playing Lumi. Do I have faith that you're going to keep Lumi from taking my spot?
I don't know. Do you? The answer is
And
no.
then the
You could
other
say it.
matchups that are happening next week. We've got Eat Eat Man Things versus Ratsoftia. Golgothan has been all over the place. That is just a completely unpredictable match. I mean, MPA is also kind of a wild card, so Nuffle will decide that one. And all they need if he wins this week is a draw to be ahead of me. So I'm going to assume that MPA makes the playoffs. Fiction is playing the Three Mountains, who has beaten some of the top teams like Lumi, but at the same time, or did he beat Lumi? I don't know who he beat. He beat Drew MPA. I don't know. Either way, Chaos Ubulu could definitely take that game, but the way Fiction plays and the way his team is built, I see him just destroying these dwarves. So I'm pretty sure he's going to win that one. And with him beating you, really, it doesn't matter what he does. He's going to be ahead of me on the ladder. So that game really doesn't matter. That's why I'm saying my game probably matters the most when it comes to playoff spots. Now, if I win, then the Gloom and Zoom game does matter a bit more against Ornan. But he'll still probably take the 5th seed, because Ornan will not be taking it. The only person that could take Gloom and Zoom's spot, and I also make the playoffs, would be Lumi, and that would be also with MPA making it. But either way, Horny's locked, Wave is locked, everybody else is kind of in the mix, but there will be 3 of us making it out of me, Lumi, Fiction, NPA, and Ornan. So 5 teams competing for 3 spots. And it's all very, very close. We just have to see what Duberman does this week. If Duberman can upset NPA, that would make things a little bit more interesting for me. Anywho, what are your predictions, Rumblebee, having played all these wonderful teams?
Well, Lumi's kryptonite is stupid plays, and I play really stupid. So I think I might be able to tilt Lumi a little bit.
That's true.
So,
That's true. Just
so
maybe try protecting the ball a little. That's the only advice I'm going to give you on that one. Beyond that, I'm just going to hurt myself if I watch your game.
So
Try to
obviously
protect the ball.
Cricket's going. Wave is gonna go. Fiction's team is just stupid good, so he's going. I think Lumi's gonna make it.
Can I beat Ornan?
See, you caught me in this conundrum because Ornan just wiped the floor with me, so I don't want him to win, but I don't want you to win either.
What's really funny is if you go back and watch at the very beginning, I like kind of wedged myself in there with all the other playoff champ coaches. We're really close to predicting this whole thing. The only one that we didn't predict was Wave. But we definitely predicted Horny. And I think we predicted Lumi. And I think we even predicted Ornan. NPA is also a wild card, but yeah. It was pretty close. But yeah, I don't know, man. I every time I watch Ornan play, I say to myself, you can't beat him. But his team is the kind of team that my team is designed to beat. So I gotta trust in my girls.
You would think that, but then his team just does stuff.
That's the thing. It's that X factor that you just can't predict. Like for me, it's the scatters. And I told him already, if he beats me, I will require him to go back and record all of his games from this season and send them to me so I can make a montage of every scatter in his games. Because, shouldn't you not, the guy has had the best scatters I have ever seen. We're talking regularly. At least 3 times the ball has scattered out of bounds and landed in his hands for him to make the catch and then go on to score. And these are plays where he should not be rewarded for it, but he constantly is. It is just tilting. So tilting. And if he makes one of those plays against me, like, I'm going to be purposely avoiding the sidelines. Yes, it's, Norse, so you should be avoiding the sidelines anyway. But I am going to be avoiding the sidelines like the freaking plague, because I just know if he scatters it, because we're playing in his stupid wizard stadium too. So the guy's going to have a wizard. I'm going to have a wizard. He's gonna lightning bolt my Riley Reid, and then I'm gonna lightning bolt whoever he picks it up with, and that lightning bolt is gonna scatter twice out of bounds, and then it's gonna flip and fall into 300's hands. I already know it. 300's gonna win. I'm gonna be really annoyed.
We need to get someone to stream your game.
No, we don't. I'm good with not
I
having.
I will get someone to stream that game.
We'll see. We'll see. Either way, place your bets, folks. It's going to be a fun one. But yeah, just imagine how salty I'm going to be all playoff long if Ornan takes my spot. All playoff long. Because that would mean my true kryptonite is Norse. After D's freaking eliminated me one game before the playoff, or the Super Bowl last season, and then one game before the playoffs this season, Ornan comes along and just rolls me, which is entirely possible with the stupid Wizards. He's getting inducements too. He's getting like 300 in inducements. So it's gonna be a thing. Thing I am not looking forward to. But we'll see. We'll see how it goes. I just need to break AV7. If I can break AV7 and he doesn't get blitzes and shit, might be able to do it. That's all I got. Any closing remarks before we go, Rumblebee?
No. I just really hope I get to bring back the smug goat for our last recap.
I hope not. You can bring back the smug goat if you beat Lumi.
All right, fine.
You cannot bring the smug goat back if I get beat by Ornan. That is an inappropriate smug goat.
What if I got a new smug goat?
Nope, no smugness at all if I lose to Ornan.
All right, fine. That's fair.
Beat Lumi, and then we can talk smug goats.
We should arrange some sort of bet where if I beat Lumi
and
you
I lose to Ornan,
yeah, something has to happen.
If I make playoffs after losing to Ornan, then yeah, there's got to be some kind of consequence. Technically, that is possible. I don't like the odds of that happening. It takes way too much effort. Yeah, okay. Fair enough. We'll think of something. Anyway, that's going to do it for us. Sorry we were so bad about getting this out last week. I'm going to be traveling for work this week, so it'll be probably delayed again, but we'll try and get this out this weekend for week 12. And that should do it. Thanks again, everybody. Have a good one.